Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mark's Backyard Birds. Uh, Addressing a topic that we get to address a lot at our store over the years and over my career, and that is the issue of finding a baby bird on the ground out of the nest and what to do. A lot of misinformation out there, a lot of assumed stories that are just not true. First off, the best rule is to in most circumstances is to let nature take its course, and that's a hard thing for people to hear. The Especially our parental instincts get take over when we see a baby bird like that, and we want to do everything we can to help. A great deal of the time, believe me, the bird doesn't need help. It just depends a lot on the age of the bird and the circumstances, and if there's danger from cats and dogs or predators. Because a lot of times, what happens is the baby bird, and robins are very famous for this, they get pushed out of the nest. It gets so big that they finally lose room, and before they're really ready to fly, they get pushed out of the nest and they end up on the ground. Now they're still able to run around, and are pretty much fully feathered, and the parents are still bringing food to them. And if you go out and grab this baby bird off the ground and put it in a shoebox and take it inside, the parents are going to freak out and they're going to continue. They're looking for the baby. They want to keep feeding it worms. I give an example. Story from my background was a black cap chickadee. We were out bird watching in the spring one time, and there was a baby chickadee on the ground. It was in a park, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm afraid this bird's going to get stepped on." So I went down, picked the chickadee up, and placed it on a limb, the tree where it was under. And by the time I had gotten my hands away from that baby bird sitting on that limb, the adult chickadee came in, stuffed the bug in its mouth, and flew off. I mean, it was that fast. And so that baby chickadee was very close to being able to fly, and the parents were continuing to feed it. And that's the case a lot of times when people in their, tenderheartedly go pick up the bird and bring it inside. Now that's not always the case. Different birds. Let me get this here. We'll add this to the stream. We'll get a picture of this guy. All right. If a baby bird is very, very small, this bird is a baby cardinal, and it is pretty close. It's not much different from that chickadee I rescued that day, just put up in the limb. And this bird is getting very close to fly. It got out of the nest. Now you can pick that bird up, that baby bird, and put it back in the nest. If you see the nest, you know where it is. In birds, they have a very poorly developed sense of smell, and it doesn't matter. And then we've always, oh, the adults won't take care of it if it's got human scent on it. That is absolutely not true. In the bird world, it is not. In the mammal world, it's a whole conversation that if you rescue a baby rabbit, you see a baby rabbit, put it back in the nest, you should touch every baby rabbit in there, because your scent on that mammal will make it smell different, and sometimes the adults will not take care of it. So from the animal rehab people I've worked with over the years, they always say you want to make sure you touch up. This is about birds, and birds you can handle and put in the nest, and you don't have to worry about it. Sometimes the entire nest gets blown down, and if the you got a whole nest of babies, and it's especially if they're a good way from flying, you can actually put that nest back up in a tree limb. Sometimes the nest is disheveled and you can't do that as easily. We recommend taking like a strawberry basket or something that moisture can get through. Put the nest in that, and then tie it into a limb up in the nest, and see if that doesn't work. Uh, if their babies are really close, like these guys, these are chickadees, and these are just about ready to fly. I mean, these birds are really a day or two away if they're not already ready to fly out of that nest. But those birds, you really don't need to help. You need to let the adults take care of that. Now, if you're in a situation where you're afraid that the predators are going to get them, and We always say, people say, "Oh, I don't see the adults." Well, adults are being very sneaky. They're having to. They don't want to draw attention to that baby on the ground, so they're sneaking in there. And just like that adult chickadee came in and fed that baby, boy, she flew away quick. She didn't want to be draw attention to her baby, so they are very stealthy, and they'll come in and feed. You may not think they're there, but they usually are. But if you ever get in a situation where you think, okay, this baby definitely needs help, find a phone number, call your conservation department if you don't know, but an animal rehab facility is usually somewhere close to you. And like in Kansas City, we have two. We have one on the Missouri side and one on the Kansas side, and because it's illegal to transport wildlife across state lines. So if whichever state you live in, you call that animal facility that at Lakeside Nature Center is the one in Missouri that's very famous, and they have a army of volunteers. And all of these people are specialized in animal husbandry, and they'll answer questions for you. They'll tell you do's and don'ts, because a lot of people make mistakes. They cram bread down the throats of baby birds, which is horrible. They give too much water. The most moisture is usually gotten from the insects themselves that they're eating. So there's do's and don'ts, and I'm no expert. Believe me, I'm not. I'm a wildlife biologist, but I am not an animal care person. So I refer, when we call into our stores, we find out which side of the state line they're on, and we refer them to the experts. And you, wherever you live, I guarantee you can probably call your conservation department, and they usually keep a list right there of animal care people that live in closest ones to your area. And like a lot of volunteer organizations, sometimes even the volunteer will actually come to your house and get that bird and take it. And they're going to want to release that bird as close as they can to where it was rescued from. So those are definitely things to consider. Remember, most of the time, the best policy is just let mom take care of it. But if there's real danger there, of a predator getting the baby bird, try to get it up into a limb or in that bush. It's really, really close. If it's like I said, it's usually probably just a bug 2, 3, 4 away from having enough strength to make that flight. So baby birds is always a topic in the spring and summer. We had an incident the other day where a bird fell out of a nest that was up in the sign on the front of the shopping center, and so it happens. That's for sure. And I work with these guys a lot, and over the years, I know they've always told me, if you've got to chase the bird or chase the baby rabbit, it's old enough to take care of itself. Don't mess with it. So I know it tugs on our heartstrings, but it really is the best policy. So taking care of baby birds, let mom do it. She's the real expert, and dad do it. He's the real expert. Or if you've got a local rehab facility, get your best advice from them. So baby birds, that's the topic. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please send an idea for future programs. Give us a like, give us a share. Until then, come on, let's talk birds.